Do you just want to tell us your name and where you're living right now?
Sure. I'm Rob, and I live here in Central Texas in San Marcos.
Nice. And what about your experience living in San Marcos made you want to reach out to us for this?
Yeah, I thought your audience might enjoy hearing about San Marcos from someone who used your website to research where to relocate with my family. And we've been here for about 2 years now and are loving it. But thought it was, I'm a frequent reader of your webpage, and it was one of the tools we used when we're deciding where to live.
Great. What are some specific things about San Marcos that you really like?
I mean, it's part of, location, location, location. Part of it, it's like nestled right there in between Austin and San Antonio along the I-35 corridor. It's, close to hill country. I think it's called the gateway to Texas hill country, and that's accurate. So it's just in the middle of so much to do without being in a super large metro like Austin or San Antonio itself. So it's a good place for families. Um, you know, Education opportunities are here. We've got a great, stellar state university, Texas State's here, so you get that city town vibe and access to all those amenities that come with it. But also kind of you can be out there in the country with longhorns and wildflowers and get out in nature too, because San Marcos has some amazing parks and recreation areas.
That's wonderful. On the flip side, are there some things about your hometown that you could live without or maybe wish would be different?
Yeah, I think a lot of Central Texas has seen an explosion of growth. I'm guilty. I'm part of that explosion of growth, moving here. But I think you know, there's always traffic congestion, construction, those sorts of things that can be less than pleasant. But some of it's temporary. The construction will end, the subdivisions will be done. But other things, you just hope that the city planners have it all mapped out right, so it stays orderly and livable.
Great. That's hopefully true.
Exactly.
All of that with the lumps and everything, would you recommend someone else move to San Marcos?
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful place, especially if you're, I would say, either a younger family. There's a lot of great young families here. The schools are nice. The communities are, well built and structured, walkable. We live in Blanco Vista, which is a subdivision that's got great amenities and with walking paths. And 5 Mile Dam is right over here with the soccer fields, and it's along the Blanco River, so it's scenic and there's places to hike and do things and a little fishing pond. So yeah, it's a good place to move to.
Great. And where did you move from?
So yeah, I've had the benefit of living in a lot of places. So I was born in Columbus, Ohio, raised in Vermont. I've lived in Chicago, and right before here, came from the East Bay of the San Francisco Bay Area.
Wow. Which of those would you say was like your biggest move?
Uh, Probably the transition from a small town in Vermont to Chicago. I went from a city living in St. Albans, Vermont. I think it was like maybe 12,000 people to living in a city block that probably had close to 12,000 people. That was quite the change
Hmm.
there. So that was a big transition.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for people who might be going under a similar transition anytime soon?
Do your research, if possible, visit in person, but if not, think about the things that you care about the most. What are the amenities you need on a day-to-day basis? Don't get too hung up on larger stats or things, that metrics that aren't important to you. But if it's, I want proximity to a Trader Joe's, I want to be able to walk, then you find those little things that really matter to you, those quality of life things, and find what has those, and then start your rankings, and then start thinking about where else to look.
Excellent. And then how has, you mentioned this a little bit at the top, but how has Best Places kind of helped you in your move and finding your best place, if you will?
Exactly. So, well, my wife and I kind of made that list and we tried to find, what, you know, were places that had some of those amenities that we wanted, proximity to certain stores, proximity to parks. We knew we wanted to be in a community that had a good elementary school for our youngest, but also fed into uh, a really good performing high school because our oldest is in high school, so we had both ends of the education spectrum to consider. I wanted to be in a college town if possible. I kind of like that vibe. It kind of keeps me feeling young. um, Great access to coffee shops. uh, so we did a lot of that, and then of course safety, what is the cost of living, and doing those comparisons on better places you know, was a great tool for us.
Great, excellent. And then that about wraps up my questions. Do you have any parting thoughts you wish to share?
No, I mean, Best Places is a great website to do the research. I love the board game, by the way, and it's in San Marcos is a fun community, and I definitely recommend if you don't live here, it's definitely worth visiting if you're in Central Texas.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We can sign off.
Cool. Well, thanks, Alex. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
This was
of
fun.
course. Have a great rest of your day.
You
Bye.
too. Bye bye.